When I close my eyes, the first guy that always hits me is Jairo. Jairo is a little boy, probably 7 or 8 years old. He has very limited movement of his arms and of his legs. And when we walked in to see Jairo, he's laying on the bed looking towards the door, and there are flies on him. Flies that he can do nothing about. And it really reminded me of a scene that you see on TV in commercials for, large organizations that do good work in very poor places, and boy, there I was, right in the middle of it. Sent there by the Diocese. So, we did what we could. We had the opportunity to sit, to get down face to face, and to look at the face of God in that beautiful little boy. And we spread a net over him, so that at least for a period of time, Jairo would not be harassed by flies. And that's the kind of stuff that happens day in and day out of the maternidad. "49 years ago, a Pittsburgh bishop sent a son from Pittsburgh to Chimbote, Peru for an assignment. And his assignment turned into the investment of a lifetime. And his lifetime became heroic through his work. The work that Monsignor Roos did in conjunction with the work of Sister Margaret Mary and Sister Lillian has really taken that mustard seed that was planted 49 years ago and grown a very large bush, a large tree. But there's still so much work to be done. All the work that they do in Chimbote is amazing, but they continue to reach out into the outskirts of that community where there are thousands of people living in huts like Jairo that are disabled or that are not disabled, but they're living in deplorable circumstances. One of the things that happened to me, and I suspect one of the things that happens to anybody that goes to Chimbote, is at some point in time while you're there, you from the soul, you cry out, "Lord, why? Why do people have to live this way? Why did you give me the opportunity to grow up in a region that has so much wealth?" We have gone from immigrant steel workers and coal miners to people that run corporations and generate millions for our region. Why are we so materially wealthy? But it brought home to me the responsibility that we have. There are a lot of good charities out there. This charity was created out of Pittsburgh, out of the heart of Pittsburgh. Monsignor Roos, who is a hero to everybody in that town, deservedly so. I think that we give not only in his memory, we give because of the continued work for those people on the outskirts of that town, for those people in the midst of that town that need our services.
We saw the face of Christ in the people that we met. We saw the face of Christ in the people that serve, in the heroes, that have donated their whole entire lives. My one regret is never having been able to meet Monsignor Roos. But the two sisters that are still there, I mean, their lives are beautiful, how they give up their whole lives, and they're joyful, and they've done beautiful work. When you're in the moment, it's real. I mean, it is a third world environment. There's a harsh reality of poverty in Chimbote, and what we call our relationship from Pittsburgh to Chimbote is the bridge of love and hope. How wonderful it is that they have a center that they can be treated and given help with medical care and all other types of care. When we went out into the barrios, we took the food and the clothes and built shelter and whatever the needs are. It was summed up, they see a need, they meet a need, and that's how they live. When they go out and they see a need, they're prepared to meet a need. And it's through the help that they get from Pittsburgh that they're able to provide these resources. And it's a beautiful experience. And it's important that the people in Pittsburgh understand how much good the center is doing, because it's a town not that much smaller than Pittsburgh. I was told there's about 950,000 people in the town, and we're a little over 1 million. And over 91,000 babies have been born then, and they're serving hundreds of people a day. They go out the lines are just so long. The front of the place is like a taxi stand in New York with all the cabs coming and going to pick them up, and they'll stay there till the last patient is seen. I think a lot about Jose, the person that we built the house for, and his family. They had to move their house. They were squatters, and the government was going to come in and pave the road, and so they had to move, or the house was going to be plowed under, and they were pushing him up on the hillside, and he was on a crutch, and he had a wife and a baby and a toddler, and it was winter time, even though it was July here, because it's the opposite side of the equator, and it gets cold, and I pray for them, and I wonder how they're getting up and down the mountain, and they were so grateful, but all of them that we met, you know, you just pray for them, that God blesses their lives, that the help can continue to flow, because it's really needed.
Every year that we go, Doe and her husband Mike have gone with us, and Giovanna and another friend, we take different people with us, and every year we go, we said we should try to go on a mission trip. So my husband was golfing with Dr. Pat Joyce, and he said my wife would like to go on a mission trip, and some of her friends are nurses, they would also like to go. So that's how it got started. First of all, the poverty. I mean, you know, you can think, oh, it's poor, but you really don't realize till you're there. There was one little boy, Diego, that was unable to walk, that had braces, and his grandmother would come to see him. He was there because the family couldn't afford the care, but being at the orphanage there, the sisters would make the arrangements for him to go into Lima to have like the care that he needed, and he was fitted with braces, and he received physical therapy. They just do a wonderful job. They need the support to continue. They don't really need our skills on teaching them how to do things. Even they're very efficient. They run the facility very efficient. They need our monies to continue. I feel that they have the blessing of God with them, and everyone that goes in there are treated with dignity. They're not judged, and I feel that they're blessed from God.
When I was going, I thought, well, we're nurses, and we're going to go down there, and we're going to show them how to be a nurse. And I was so wrong. They showed me how to be a nurse. I went down thinking skill, you know, they needed skill, and I was so wrong. The staff, the nurses, the midwives, they're very skillful, they're very knowledgeable, they're very compassionate. They showed me how to be a nurse. If the home care nurses, if you went into the huts that the folks live in on their dirt floors, they would go in and they would give them medication, and they would do their bandages, but they would also give them food and give them clothing. And we built a house for Jose, and we gave him shelter, and the nurses were right there digging the dirt with us and pounding the nails and going for the supplies, and so they do it all. There's a lot of hope. The people come from far and wide. The only means of transportation, they don't own vehicles. They get in a cab, and they bring their children, and they're there before 7 a.m. when that clinic opens. And they're waiting because they have hope, and they know they can get good medical care and good medicine, and if they have any means, they will pay for their medication to whatever means that they have. They have pride too. They're not just looking for free services.
You can look at pictures and see things, but when you live it, you see how poor and sad it is for the people there. But just how people have to live in these conditions without water, electricity, it's just hard to comprehend that, and they do it. And when Monsignor Roos went there, they told us he was appalled that all he did was baptize babies and bury babies. So he was instrumental in getting the place going and up and going. Their reputation is so outstanding. Even the labs, hospitals and private doctors send their specimens and tissues there to be analyzed because they have such an outstanding reputation. The care was excellent. The delivery rooms, everything was excellent to me. It just reminded me maybe of a long time ago when we first started. Everything's not sterile and stainless steel, that sort of atmosphere.
But it's clean. It's
absolutely clean. Absolutely. We spent a lot of time in the orphanage, and all the children were just, we could have taken them all home, but there was one little girl, and her name was Sarah, and she was 3 months old, and she was born with a birth defect, hydrocephalic, and they had taken her to Lima, and she had a shunt, but she had other birth defects that had to be taken care of. So I spent a lot of time with her, and I would tell her every day, I'm going to take you to Children's Hospital, and I see her all the time. And a lot of the children, it's just hard to forget their faces.
Really makes me appreciate that I live in the United States of America, and I'm very grateful.
You know, you don't have to go to Chimbote to keep Chimbote in your heart, because now it's in my heart. But when we ever get the opportunity to provide dignity to people, they don't assume that they're going to get these services, and they don't feel that they're entitled to the services. They go to the clinic and they just want to have medical care for themselves and for their children.
I was amazed. You don't have to worry about where the money's going. This is a budget that's under the view of the Office of the Bishop of Pittsburgh. And it goes directly to helping people that are poor in Chimbote and that are extremely poor in the outskirts of Chimbote. Our money gets the opportunity to animate those hands that reach out to those folks every day.
Chimbote is an arid desert of poverty, yet for 3 generations, the people of Pittsburgh have generously created an oasis of love and hope. Join us as a mission partner. Be the face of Christ.
We bring the kingdom come.